Hey there everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today with Opera Omnia we've just had the May stream for basically telling us everything that's going to be coming out in May. And for me at least, and I'm sure quite a few other people, May is going to be a doozy. And it's going to be a hell of a strict pull or like tug on our gems, because there's some nice stuff coming out in May. And so I wanted to take you guys through what we had coming out, what was announced on the stream, and what you should be saving your gems for over May. And therefore, if you want to know what those things are going to be, then stay tuned and keep on watching. As always, don't forget to check out all of the social links in the description box below, including Discord, where we have loads of people who discuss friend units and strategies for harder content, all sorts of different things like that, as well as my Patreon page and my Twitch channel if you want to follow me on there as well. Now, I will be doing a more in-depth kind of should you pull video on a lot of the characters that are going to be coming forward when it comes to the banners over the course of May and the end of April as well. So do stay tuned and keep an eye out for those if you want more in-depth reviews of the characters rather than the kind of the shorter ones that I'm going to be doing now. So the first thing that was discussed on the stream is a small thing, but it's a nice thing, and it's little quality of life changes that will just make the game that little bit nicer to play for everybody. And the best thing about it is that the accept all button is something that actually a lot of people have been clamoring for quite a while, because there's nothing worse than when you've just finished a load of co-op missions, finished loads of stuff, and you've got to go through and just press accept over and over and over and over and over again, trying to collect all those high shards, all those gems, all those tickets you've picked up, when you could just press one button and just grab it all. Well, they're adding that, and that's really, really nice. They're also updating the loading screens so that they are stills from the story artwork that have been used, as well as little tips on the bottom screen. I actually kind of like what we have already, because I like the fact that the screens are in motion. So, like, similarly to how I set up my own channel and things like that, I quite like to have kind of moving parts to loading screens and things like that. So I actually not a big fan of this change, but I'm sure that I'm in the minority there, and a lot of people will really like seeing the stills from these particular pictures. And then the next thing that was announced were the Chocobo Missions, which is a lovely little addition to the game, because it's mostly aimed at newer players for the sake of tutorial missions and things like that, but they're permanent and you're going to get rewards. Just basically, if you've been playing the game for a long time, expect some free stuff, which is never a bad thing. But not only that, but from the beginning of May, we're getting bi-monthly missions at least sort of every couple of weeks. So it means that there's always going to be extra stuff for us to earn, and they're probably going to be things like, you know, chocobo feathers, potions, stuff like that, as opposed to gems, summon tickets. But, I mean, looking at the picture there is a picture of some gems there, so, you know, we could get some extra little bits out of this, and honestly, anything like this is nice to see anyway, especially the way it's presented, where it's kind of like a bingo line. You get extra rewards if you clear a line or finish the whole panel. You've got the chocobo digging stuff up treasure. I did have a little look at this in my very ill-fated and short stint playing JP version, but I think it's a nice thing for us all to have. We're also going to be seeing the return of Kupo cards this month, which will start on Thursday, alongside a lot of the updates in general. But when you look at sort of what comes on the other side, I'm sure you can already tell the thing that I'm going to be most excited for about this month, and it's going to be the return of Yuna's costume. I promise. No, it's going to be Kuja's costume and his therefore lost chapter that is inevitably going to be coming out. When I saw this picture come up on the still from the stream itself, I was like, okay, I know what's coming. This is going to be nice for me. Personally, I don't actually love this costume for Kuja. I would have much rather seen Trance Kuja be a costume, similarly to how I actually don't like this particular costume for Yuna, if only because she has a staff in it. I would have much rather seen her with her wedding dress in the staff. If she had guns, then sure, the FF102 costume makes sense. But in this context, I'm not the biggest fan of it. And I'm torn, because as much as I don't really like this costume, if I don't get it, and I have bought other characters' costumes, I'm the biggest Kuja fan going. I can't not buy this. But that being said, like, it's there for everybody to enjoy. I'm sure I probably will end up picking it up whether I like it or not, and therefore, you know, it's just a nice thing to have for everybody. And don't forget, you obviously get gems as well as the costume itself, so it's an incentive for you to get gems. And honestly, I'm going to be going all in on Kuja anyway, so I might need some recovery anyway. One thing that was quickly touched on as well during the stream were the new warrior gem sales, which were, as you can see on the screen here, contain like armor tokens and chocobo tail feathers and power orbs, all sorts of little bits like that. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend picking these up unless they're insanely cheap. I mean, I I have played since the first day of Opera Omnia's release, but I don't actually remember seeing this gem sale because I'm pretty sure at the time I didn't know whether I was going to be into it enough to spend money on it or not, so I didn't even look at it. But, you know, unless it's a really, really cheap deal, there's not much reason to pick this up. Honestly, if you're a new player, you will get armor tokens and chocobo tail feathers and orbs and stuff like that so fast. Like, the game throws them at you. And Gil, you really don't need to be buying anything like that. But, I mean, it is more valuable to a lot of players in terms of in-game stuff than, say, a costume would be, but that kind of defeats the point of the personality and you buying a costume for your favourite character as opposed to some generic stuff. So, personally, I wouldn't recommend these, but unless they're really, really cheap. Now, going on to the events and the banners themselves, the first thing we're going to see is that Bahamut will be returning on April the 29th. So if anyone didn't get their hands on Bahamut when he first came out, now is a great opportunity for you to do so because it will be permanently added to the pool and you can just grab him as and when you fancy it. He's one of the best summons in the game, if not the most valuable summon generally in the game to have, so definitely grab him. And then on May the 9th, we have Kuja's Lost Chapter. Now, you guys all know how much I love this character, and I'm gonna say this with no bias whatsoever. Kuja, when he gets his 60/60 Awakening and his EX, is a monster. He is the character I have been saving so fervently for months. So to say that I'm prepared to go all in on this character is no joke. I want Kuja's EX and I will do what I have to get it. The fact that we have the pity system or the G token system in this game makes me so happy because I would have gone even further if I'd had to because I love this character that much. But, you know, again, without bias, it's not just my love for the character that makes me want to pull for him. He is extraordinarily powerful. He starts, his EX allows him to sort of keep his Soul Divider passive for an extended period of time, so it means that he's double casting his Ultima and Ring Holy like crazy. His 60/60 Awakening turns Ring Holy into an HP attack, which makes it so much better. He just gets so much more longevity. His damage is astronomical for this stage in the game. So, honestly, very, very big character to be pulling on here. And his banner has Yuna and Setzer on it. And Yuna, because they're bringing the costume back and everything, there is a chance that they could bring a rework out for Yuna early, considering they've already set that precedent by bringing one out for Bart. Now, Yuna was one of the first level 60 Awakened characters, so obviously at this day and age she's not all that great. But if they do rework her, then she'll be back up there again. So, and Setzer is one of the best farming characters in the game. Setzer's going to be putting a lot of work in this month, judging by the banners that we're going to be getting. So, honestly, massive recommendation for this banner. And then Quistis' event will be coming out on the 22nd of May. And her banner is also very interesting. The banner itself has Vivi and Sarah on it. And if Sarah gets her rework early, then she becomes a monster as well. Vivi less so. I would recommend waiting on him for his EX when that comes out because he becomes a much better character then. But Quistis is a very interesting character. She's really, for want of a better word, cheesy. Her entire shtick is delaying your opponent's turn, and her 60/60 Awakening makes that so much more potent that she becomes one of the best friend units in the entire game. Like, May is going to be the time where we start to come away from the launch meta that we've been used to for the last couple of months, and we start getting just raw power. Kuja starts that. We're going to get that even more when Renoa comes out, when Golbears comes out in June, probably June, maybe July. But there's going to be other characters that are more techie that you can kind of play around with, and Quistis is one of those characters. And her EX makes her just that much more powerful so that she can get the attack and the HP, and her Brave Overflows go to really high levels, and the whole point of her is just keep delaying the same character during a summon while you've got it summoned as a friend unit. So if you want to have a really cool friend unit for everyone else to use, then Quistis is an absolute must pull. But in terms of longevity, she's just cool. She's very good for, that cheese factor, but there's going to be a lot of events where she's less useful. So whether you pull on Quistis or not is entirely up to you. Like I said, she's very good, but the stuff that we're going to be getting in June, July is going to be even scarier. And if you're going to be pulling for something at this month, then Kuja is going to have a lot more longevity for you. Even when he gets his EX+, because he's actually one of the first characters or one of the earlier characters to get an EX+ over in JP, his power level just skyrockets back up again, so it's going to be a long-lasting EX for you to grab. So of the two, if you only pull on one of them, I would pull on Kuja. If you have the resources for it, pulling on Quistis isn't a bad idea either. But there's going to be a lot of really nice things to pull on this month, so don't spend all your gems at once. And then another thing that they showed us was the World of Illusions campaign, which is going to be just mostly it's just going to mean that we get an extra co-op, which will get us some more gems and a nice few bits. It's not going to be super expensive or super difficult or anything, but it's going to have all characters boosted, which means that all your stuff is going to be useful. And then the most important thing is going to have the weekly draws featuring World of Illusions weapons. Now, some of these are actually quite pivotal to a character's kit. I spoke last week about Kujas EX, and the reason that me not pulling for Kujas EX is not having his World of Illusions weapon. Well, presumably you're going to be able to get a chance to get that over the next couple of weeks. So it might be worth kind of noting this banner if you already have Kujas EX, or you have certain characters that you just want that little bit extra that you're missing, like Cloud, or Edgar even, or Vaughn. There's a fair few characters that greatly benefit from having their World of Illusions weapon, and because they're 15 CP, they're not as difficult to pull as, say, an EX or something like that. So this banner is one to be cautious of, and to have a look at, but it's not a bad idea to pull on. Though, to be fair, they've just added a lot of World of Illusions weapons to the weapon shop, the power token shop in the JP side. So if you're willing to wait until for that long, I mean, it is going to be a long wait, but maybe you'd want to wait for that. Now, this is an interesting little thing that we're getting over the course of May, and right at the beginning of May, and it'll last all the way through to the end of May, is Heretic Challenges with no boosted characters. So this will be a real true test of strength as to who you've got, but in all fairness, because everyone's on an even playing field, it should allow you to just use your favourite characters, or ones that are at least somewhat relevant to the event. This just is nice and challenging, I'll get my words out in a second, for people who just want to use their favourites, because there's no synergy characters for you to go, oh well, if I had that character I could do that. Because, you know, if you have, say, high tier characters like Beatrix or Agrius or Selphie or Kate Sith, there's no reason why everyone shouldn't be able to do this, at least with some guidance, if nothing else. Where there's so many YouTube channels and stuff online. Again, I always leave links, leave names on my screen here for everyone to see. But there's more gems, there's more draw tickets, and there's power tokens on offer, so there's no reason not to do this, really. The next thing that they showed on the stream was new characters being shown, and the first one actually comes out this week, which is Locke. Now, Locke is a very odd character. He has some really nice tricks, like his Phoenix Ray is an AoE Brave HP attack, it heals, it restores bravery to the party, it does lots of nice things, and his Mirage Dive EX does a lot of damage, grants buffs, but his regular attack, his steel item, it kind of is random, and it has certain conditions that are difficult to discern, and they do different things depending on what item you steal from your opponent. So Genji Glove is a harder hit, whereas Miracle Shoes is a faster hit, and he's very, very odd. He's really cool and he's very strong, but he's not a character I would personally go out of my way for. He's not a bad character by any stretch of the word, but there are a lot of characters coming out, and I keep saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it until these characters are released. The summer for this game is going to be mega strict and hard on your gems. So saving now is a good idea. So if you are a big fan of Locke, or you really love him, then pull for him, because I mean, he gets a massive rework next year that makes him really, really strong. But and he's certainly not bad now, but I am, as stingy as they come, as you see whenever you watch me play or pull, you'll see my gem count, and I am extremely stingy on my pulls. And Locke, if I got Locke's EX on this free multi-draw, which is great that they're doing that, then sure, I would probably do a pull or two to try and get his 15 and his 35, but I'm not going to certainly go too deep in getting his EX, because Locke just doesn't matter that much to me personally. But he is a good character, there's nothing wrong with him. He's not as strong as certain other characters, and he's another damage dealer. And one thing that you'll discover when playing this game is that damage dealers are a dime a dozen, and unless they really stand out, like Kuja or Noah or Golbez, there's got to be a good reason to run them. Neither of the other characters that are coming out this month particularly excite me either. Obviously, there are only silhouettes here, but we all see that those characters are Barret and Rosa. Now, Barret is nothing special, to be quite honest. There's really nothing great about him. He doesn't come with an EX, He's yet another damage dealer, which, as I said a minute ago, there are a dime a dozen. You don't need Barret in any way, shape or form. But the thing on this banner that might entice people to want to pull on it is the chance of getting Tifa's EX. Now, I don't like Tifa as a character. I don't dislike her either, but I am in no way a fanboy for her. So I'm trying to look at this purely from an objective point of view, and even with her EX, Tifa's just not a very good character in my eyes, or certainly not up there with some of the other characters out there. So she gets extra buffs, her existing buffs get stronger, they're framed buffs, which is great, but she's just another damage dealer, and that's just not enough for me. Unless her damage is astronomical as some of the other characters that I talk about, she's not a character that makes me want to pull. And Maria, being the third character on the banner, does nothing for me either. She doesn't have her EX on this banner because we're not at the stage where you're getting 2 EXs on a banner yet, and the feature character doesn't have one either, so this banner is a total skip for me. And then Rosa is a very, very cool character because she brings something new to the table that we haven't seen in this game yet, which is re-raise. You need her 35 CP weapon to do that, but it's a very, very cool thing that we haven't had yet, and her event kind of wants you to have it. But if you can defend yourself, you don't absolutely have to have re-raise in order to complete a mission. It's nonsensical. But again, Lena comes out presumably in June with her Lost chapter, and she's going to get an awakening that makes her just as good, like just insanely powerful. She's a very, very strong support character in June. So if I were to pull for a character based on their support capabilities, I'd probably save up for her and be happy with the supports that I already have from these past couple of months. Like I said, Selphie, Kate Sith, Deuce, Lilith even. There's loads of characters that are really strong for supports already, and I don't think Rosa is mandatory for you to pull for her. She has an EX, which is very good as well, but it's not... I think the thing is that because there's so many good banners, you have to pick and choose between them. All of these characters are good. And there's another character that's coming out this month as well that's also very popular and very good. So you have to kind of pick and choose your banners. So, of these 3, I probably would pick Locke out of the 3 if you wanted to pull on one of them, but I would probably pull on the Lost Chapters banners first. Now, there is one more character coming out this month that is worth looking at, and it's more teased at than anything else with this picture, and it's coming with a new story chapter, which is going to be a great opportunity for us to get even more gems, loads of stuff. Really, really good. But the character that's shown here is going to be Paladin Sessile. Now, Paladin Sessile is the definition of a jack of all trades. He is really strong in a lot of different ways. He does healing, he does buffing, he does bravery battery, he does decent damage, he does a lot of things all at once, but he doesn't excel at any one of them. He's a really safe character to pull for, in all honesty, because he does so much. But so if you've got a character that excels in every kind of role, as it were, like you have Warrior of Light's EX, for example, great tank. You have Beatrix's EX or Kuja's EX, great damage dealer. You've got a great healer. You've got, you don't have to have Paladin Sessile. He's very, very hyped. He is good. Again, really strong character, but he's not mandatory. He's not a character you absolutely have to have. If anyone detracts me from pulling for Kuja, though, it will be this character. I think that he's going to have a long-lasting lifespan into the kind of the June, July, summer period because he does so many different things at once. So if you fail to pull for somebody else, then you can always fall back on Sessile. So that's a really nice thing to bear in mind if you're going to be pulling for this character. If you do happen to get his EX and all of his kit, he's going to at least carry you for a while. He's not going to break the game or anything, but he's very good at what he does. If you get his EX, he can inflict Holy Resist down, which I think is the first character that does that. So he'll pair up really nicely with somebody like Aiko, and all of his attacks are Holy as well, so obviously he makes himself stronger. So I like Sessile. I really like Sessile, but obviously I'm trying again not to show bias, but all of my gems are going to one character this month, let's be honest. But trying to kind of pinpoint the banners that I feel have the most longevity, I'm looking at Kuja, I'm looking at Quistis, and I'm looking at Sessile. Locke is cool, but I don't think he's as necessary as a lot of characters that are coming out soon. I wouldn't pull for Barret. I don't think that anything that his banner brings is going to bring anything special to the table. And Rosa is a maybe for me. Rosa is somebody like I'd sink a few tickets, see how it goes, and if I get nothing, I'll just pull away. You know, she's a character that I'd be happy if I got, but I wouldn't go out of my way to get. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you ever so much for watching. Where are your gems going to be going this month? I've already stated where mine are going, and I'm sure you guys will like share in my misery when I have to sink 75,000 gems on Kuja, and it will be awful. But where are you guys going to be placing your gems? Is it going to be Kuja, Quistis, Sessile, maybe Barret? Maybe you really like Barret and you think you're going to pull for him, or Locke even. There's loads of options for you, and what if you're not going to be pulling for those characters, what characters are you hoping to save for that are going to carry you through the summer? Is it going to be Renoa, Golbez, Lena's or a Lost Chapter? There's so many options at the moment that my biggest recommendation is think before you pull. Just be aware of what's coming in the future. Check out DissidiaDB.com as I always do, because they've got every character from the JP side as well as the global side, so you've got a way to kind of research into what's coming and plan your pulls accordingly. That's how I've ended up with the massive stash of gems I have that will probably get halved at some point in May. But so thank you very much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope it's given you all a bit of insight as to what information we got from the community stream today and where it's going to kind of lead us to in Opera Omnia for May. So thanks very much again. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share the video out, like and ring the bell and all that good stuff, and I hope to see you all soon. Bye!